Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So today is a very exciting topic I've been waiting for a while, and that is God's existence. Does God exist? Can we explain that God exists? Can we prove it? Is there a creator? And obviously nowadays people think religion is crazy, that we have no creator, there's no God, we have to see it to believe it, kind of thing. So we're here to debunk those ideas and to logically explain God's existence. I know for Muslims we have everyone has a natural fitra to believe in God, right? But as time goes on, this gets clouded for people and they start to worship their desires and they forget about God. So we're going to try to bring it down to the basics today. Of course, before we get into religion and Islam and everything, we have to establish the foundations, and that's obviously if you don't believe in God or a creator, we have to start there. So that's where we're going to start. Is there a creator of the universe? Okay. And really there's only a few possibilities, right, of the creation of the universe. Either it came from nothing and created itself, or it's eternal, it always existed. If there's any other possibility, the multi-universe theory, that's another one. But if there's another possibility, let me know, because I think that's pretty much it. Alright, so let's break this down, okay? And actually, this is in the Quran. It's a Quranic argument. That's how amazing the Quran is, right? It has all the logical arguments already in there, okay? That's how you know it's from God. And it's actually in chapter 52, verses 35 and 36, where Allah says, "Were they created by nothing? Or are they their own creators? Or did they create the heavens and the earth? In fact, they have no firm belief in God." It's amazing. So let's go into this. First, from nothing. Okay. This is obviously the most illogical thing you can even think of. Can nothing create something? You can answer that, right? No. I mean, any logical person would say the same thing. Nothing can create something. Okay. So, an example would be if we were to see a painting, right? This beautiful painting, Van Gogh or something. No one would assume that this painting made itself, right? You would be amazed, like, who created this beautiful painting? You would praise that person who created it. And yet, when we put that same logic to the universe, some people assume, no, it must have not been created. Maybe it came from randomly or from nothing. It doesn't make any sense. Why not praise someone who would be able to create this, right? So from nothing comes, right? And in order to make something, you need something. Nothing can create something. We don't even need to go that much into it. It's just insane. All right, so, and I know there's been from Lawrence Krauss, he made a book actually. I think something about nothing and creation, and actually he explains how this nothing is actually this vacuum of nothingness, which is actually something. So it really doesn't make any sense. Anyways, on to the next one, which is that we created our own selves, right? So creating our own selves, like an example would be, can a mother give birth to herself? No, another illogical one, right? Because in order for her to actually give birth, she would have to exist, right? In order for her to exist, if she created herself, she would have to give birth to herself. So in order to give birth to herself, she would have to exist before that. So again, it makes no sense. So if you never even existed, you can't give birth to yourself in the first place. You would have to exist to create your own self, right? That's just another illogical claim that they make. So let's debunk that. Let's go on to the next one. We always existed, which means the universe is eternal. Okay. Actually, now with the new scientific theory, and I say theory because science always changes, so we never can say scientific fact. Okay. Scientific theory, the best theory they have right now is the Big Bang Theory. It actually debunks this eternal kind of flex that they're saying, because if there was a single unit and the universe is expanding, it must have had a beginning at one point, right? And this is actually in the Quran, in Surah 21, verse 30, where Allah explains that we were once one unit of creation, which is actually pretty amazing. But again, we don't compare Quran to science. I don't like doing that because, like I said, science always changes, right? We compare our Quran we only need the Quran. We don't need to compare it with science. But it's just amazing how that all comes together, right? Anyways, so if the universe is expanding, we were once at one point, and the universe must have had a beginning, right? So actually, to say the universe is eternal doesn't make sense if you're gonna look at it from that perspective. But let's say someone debunks this idea about the universe is expanding and that the universe is eternal, and they go with this. Okay, fine. Well, let's take an argument. The universe is eternal. It would still require an explanation for the start to the universe, right? You still have to explain how did it come in the first place, right? If you have an eternal set of dominoes, right, you still have to explain how that first domino fell, right? If it was a gust of wind, if it was, a flick of a finger, you're not going to say that domino fell by itself, okay? Something made that fall. It can't fall by itself, okay? And that's the cause. So it must have still been caused, even if it's eternally going, okay? So it still requires an explanation. It's only going to bring more questions, not answers. All right. So I think we'll get into what else did they bring up? Let's see. They bring up if God, if we didn't come from nothing, you're saying God created us from nothing too. They'll say that, like, oh, you guys also believe nothing because you say God created from nothing. Well, actually, you're assuming that God is like a nothing, okay? God has the potential to create and bring things into existence through his will and power, right? So God being there, he has the ability to create. So it's not the same thing as from nothing, okay? And so how does God come into it? Well, God is, and the concept of God is an independent. He is the creator. He's independent, which means he's eternal, right? So he doesn't need an explanation for existence. He's always existed. He is the creator of everything. The creator of the heavens, the earth, time, space, everything, right? So he doesn't need an explanation like other things do, like the universe does. He's an eternal being, right? Who's an all-powerful being who has the ability to create. Okay? But then they say, well, who created God? Oh, okay. Like I said, he is the creator, and he had no beginning, no end. He's eternal. So no one ever, he's the first point of anything. Okay? If you're going to say who created God, then you're just going to go on forever. Who created that person? Who created God? Who created that? Who created? And this is what's called infinite regress. An infinite regress is a sequence of reasoning or justification which can never come to an end. If the chain of cause goes on forever, there will never be an effect, which is our existence. Okay, so bring the same thing as I'll bring in the domino analogy again. If we had an infinite amount of dominoes, would the last domino ever fall? That's us. It would never fall because it's an eternal line of dominoes. So that last domino will never fall. That means we would never have existed. If creation goes on forever, we would never be created in the first place, right? Say we're in the library and we need to check out a book, but the line is infinite, goes on forever. Would we ever check out the book? No, right? We're just waiting forever, creating. We will never have the effect, which is us. So that's added to the picture too. So the only logical conclusion is that the creator is uncaused, right? He's independent. He doesn't need an explanation for existence. So what do I mean by independent? Independent is, like I said, doesn't need an explanation. Everything in the universe is dependent. You see this thing here, this little cute thing? All right, this is dependent because it has a certain shape, color, eyeballs. Someone must have created that thing, right? So this is dependent on something external to it, right? If you put that same logic towards anything and everything in the universe, it's all dependent on something external to it. So that means the universe and everything in it is dependent, right? So that means it requires an explanation for its creation. And that is something external to it, which we call God, the independent creator, right? It's like, then they'll bring in, well, why can't we see him then, huh? Why can't we see him then, Yusuf? Well, like I said, he's outside. Okay, if you're gonna bring back the painting, right? Let's bring back the painting. If you're gonna look at that painting, that beautiful painting, are you gonna look for the painter in the painting? Are you gonna look for that painter? Where's the painter in here? No, because he's external to that painting. Created it, but he's outside of it. Okay. If you're gonna create a table, you don't become the table. If you create the painting, you don't become the painting. You're external to the painting, right? God is external to his creation. He's the creator. He's not in his creation. But then they would say, well, why can't, if he is God, he could do anything. Well, he could do anything, but not what's outside of his nature, right? If he's God, he's always God. He cannot not become God. So if he would become creation, then he would have to limit himself to creation. And then he would no longer be the God of the universe, and we would disappear. Okay? So I tried to explain that as logically as I can, and I'm going to end it with the Surah Ikhlas, which beautifully explains the concept of God in Islam, which is Qul huwallahu ahad, bismillahirrahmanirrahim, a'udhu Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid, walam yulid, walam yakun, lahu kufuwan ahad. Say he is God, the one, God the absolute. He begets, nor was he begotten, and there's nothing comparable to him.